Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another speed build. Today we are going to be building a cute little cottage in Henford on Bagley for a elder sim and her granddaughter who lives with her. She has a little business attached to her home that's basically all things crafting and basically all of the grandma hobbies that we have in the game. So we have the cross stitching and knitting. Then there's also some pottery and a little kids activity table, so all kinds of arts and crafts stuff. I used a lot of nifty knitting because they have so many cute little like artsy looking things and like the organizer desks and all that fun stuff. So I also want to go ahead and apologize for the state of my voice because I did just get over having a really bad cold and it's just starting to clear up. So I wanted to jump on here and just get this voiceover finally done. In the meantime, I was working on another build, so you'll see that one next. Hopefully I'll have my voice completely back by then. But for now, we're going to just continue on with this. And you'll see the shape is very odd. It took me a very long time to actually iron out what the shape was going to be. I deleted the roof multiple times. This is only one of those times that you're going to see me delete it and move things around. I couldn't quite decide what I wanted the shape to be. I just knew I wanted the chimney in the front, and I wanted there to be a really long section off to the side that the business was going to reside in, and I knew I wanted some kind of like a cute kind of covered entryway space that was a little recessed so that I could have the thatched roofing kind of overlapping that a little bit. I hope that makes sense. But I also used a lot of platforms over here for the steps leading up to the business because I didn't want just a big long row of stairs. I also didn't want it too high up on a foundation. I kind of wanted everything on ground level because that seemed pretty consistent with the other builds in this area of Henford on Bagley. And I kind of wanted it to match a little bit. I also first put some fencing here where the platforms are, but then I decided against that later. So you'll see that change later on, but we are picking out doors for the front of the home area and also the front of the business. And I tried to just play around with platforms and give everything a really nice shape so that it just looked really cute. And I also grabbed a family off the gallery for my playtesting of this build, so I'll make sure to include their information in the description box, but I did doctor them up a little bit. I gave, a little bit of change in the makeup and some nails and all kinds of other stuff, but I wanted to pick a family off the gallery because I love what other simmers come up with. It's way better than anything I'm going to come up with. I'm pretty, consistent with my sims. They all end up looking the same. So it's nice to kind of branch out and get different sims and different looks that I don't normally have in my game. But here you'll see I'm playing around with the roof again. The top part does have some dormers above where the shop is. I guess I'll just call it the shop, but it's the business. And I think that looks really nice. It kind of breaks it up a little bit. There's our two chimneys again, and I have to size them up with tool mod. Luckily I had the updated tool mod by this point, so it was all working out nicely. I did play around with the swatch on the chimney a couple times, but I end up going back with the beige because it's just nice and simple and it works. There also ends up being a little greenhouse extension piece back here, so I added a little glass roof to this section back here so that we could have like some plants in a greenhouse. Also gave me an excuse to use the greenhouse haven kit, which I like very, very much, and I use it even when I don't have greenhouses. Just really nice gardening decorations and such, like these really large windows that I enjoy, and I have them in like the screen kind of material, the white frame and the screen, because I thought that made a lot of sense in this area as well. And same with the matching door. There are some spots that have the shorter wall height window because I like the open spot up top, so I had to keep like some wall on the bottom is still visible, but I think I made that work out in our favor. It kind of looks intentional. So here you'll see me finishing up the roof though, and I did go back in with the thatch pattern, and I also went in with the same roof decorations, but you'll see that later on. I didn't feel like showing it to you again, but I did use the same roof decorations that I had before. Here they are popping up again with the bunnies and all of the little roof pieces. I love them so much, and I had to replace them multiple times because they kept deleting themselves when I would change anything on the inside of the upstairs of this build, which is just something we're kind of used to, I guess, right? But man, is that annoying. So this is where deletion protection comes in handy with Better Build Vibe. I just didn't have it for the longest time, so I got out of the habit of using it, if that makes sense. But here you'll see we're going to work on the outside facade of the home. So I'm using the cottage living brick with like the stone on the corners. I thought that was really nice. That's for the whole section of the home. And then over here where the business is, we use a lot of like blue clapboard in the front, at least on the bottom. And then I think up in the roof eaves, I end up using a different kind of texture as well from Growing Together, which is the same that I use on this bump out here, which is just kind of like a simple bump out. I don't know really what it was for. I was just trying to change the shape of the home a little bit, and this was it's like a week ago that I finished this, so it's kind of hard to remember why I put that there or what resides in that, but we'll figure that out together, I guess. I'm also adding some columns to make the outside a little prettier and some trim between the first and second floors, and then a little bit of fencing on all of the porches and kind of changing it up a little bit. Now inside, we're going to work on the floor plan. We do have a lovely little staircase up here leading up to the top floor, and there ends up being one bedroom over in the large portion here, as well as a bathroom and an office. And then right here where I'm deleting all of those walls, that ends up being the granddaughter's room, also a little tiny playroom area that I assume all the kids used when they were children, and they'd stay over at grandma's, but now it's just kind of like storage space, so all the toys are still out, but they're like all put away. And then the granddaughter's room has 2 beds in it because like I said, think that was like the guest room for when the kids would stay over, so there's multiple beds in that room, but there's also a computer desk, and I kind of tried to make it look like she kind of moved in and decorated it, to her liking, but it's pretty much the same as it always was because they're not going to change up the walls just because she moved in. Maybe she's only staying for the summer, maybe she's staying because she wants to get a hang of the business, maybe she wants to take over it, or the grandmother wants to bestow it to her later on, so she wants to like get her trained or something. I'm not 100% sure, but I thought that it was a cute little storyline. And we are also adding some windows in this blue color from Cottage Living. I've never used them in this blue tone, and I just thought they looked really pretty, so also added some flower boxes all along all of the windows. And I also added some of these little awnings that came with Cottage Living on top of some of the windows because I thought it looked really, really pretty and just kind of gave some dimension, just like that little bump out window that's where the chimney is. It just kind of gives it a little bit of a matchy kind of thing. It all is very cohesive, I guess you'd say, but I think it looks really nice. And then the doors on the interior are from Strangerville in this white swatch with the little blue glass doorknob. I thought that was very classic grandma's house. I know that my grandmother's house had doors with glass doorknobs, and I just thought that was so cool. So I wanted to maintain that. It was a little bit of nostalgia for me. Here on the back, we are adding more of these little awnings from Cottage Living. I am sizing them up a little bit and also doubling up on this one because I think that it just makes a little bit more sense for that to be bigger on the bigger window, and it does still work out really nicely. I think it still fits really nice, so hope you enjoy that. And then over here, we're going to work on the living room / bathroom situation. So I do have the fireplace from Cottage Living. There's only the little tiny TV on top here because I think that mostly this room is for knitting and hanging out. It's not really like a TV room per se, even though there is a TV in it. I don't think Grandma watches a lot of TV. I think it's just kind of there for guests, basically. But we have a long couch from Growing Together in this green swatch, and then that armchair from Cottage Living kind of sort of matches. So I thought that was nice. The end table, I believe, is also from Cottage Living, and then we're throwing in some nifty knitting baskets and also the lamp from For Rent because I just think it comes in a really nice little ornate pattern. Maybe she bought that in town or something. It kind of just looks a little old-fashioned in my opinion, so I thought that it looked nice in here. And then in the kitchen, we're using the Country Kitchen Kit counters and upper head cabinets, and also the stove, and I believe also the fridge. Yes, because I thought that they looked really nice, and I also forgot they had kind of like a pink fabric swatch that goes on like the end piece and also on the upper head cabinets, so I thought it was a nice little touch. It's like blue and pink, really pastel and pretty. I thought that was very classic, and I didn't mind the little touch of color because it made it easier for me to figure out what color scheme I was going to go for in here. I was always trying to, struggle to figure that out, so it was kind of a little helpful in my opinion. And then I also added this lovely little shelf that came with the Country Kitchen Kit, and I put it just above this window here. I didn't put anything on that shelf, so be warned, your Sims might put plates up there when they get done using them, but so far I have not had that problem. I just know that it is a possibility. Also, when I did map out the business, I kind of set the front living room space and bathroom to be part of the business. It's set as public so that the patrons could go into the house and use the bathroom and then go back to the classroom. A lot of them ended up hanging out in the living room, and they were just knitting and cross stitching and stuff, which was fine. But they did kind of go into the home, which, if you really hate that, then I wouldn't recommend setting it like that. Maybe just like put another little bathroom somewhere attached to the business. But I kind of ran out of space, so I opted to just let them use our bathroom as the public bathroom, and that was rough. There was a lot of cleaning involved, a lot of repairing involved, so just something to think about. But you'll see we have jumped from the kitchen decorating to the greenhouse, just kind of setting out the pots that we got with businesses and hobbies. I love those planter pots. You can make those on the pottery wheel, so I thought that made a lot of sense. We also have this decorative flower arranging table I think that's from Cottage Living as well. And then I threw in a bunch of these plots that you can put either oversized crops or regular crops in, and I do end up pulling some crops out of debug and live edit later on, so you'll see a little bit of that. But mostly I just wanted to get everything all set up, and then I pulled out everything I could from the Nifty Knitting stuff pack so that we could throw it in this room and just get an idea of what the feel of this room was going to be. I wanted to make sure it was big enough. I wanted to make sure it was lined up with what I had in mind for the activities, the business activities, and I wanted to make sure there was enough space in the front for some rocking chairs. I think that it ends up really, really nicely laid out. Like, nobody had trouble getting around. Nobody got stuck anywhere. There was plenty of space for everyone to sit, whether that be on the ground or on a couch or on a rocking chair or what have you. So I think it was really fun and I enjoy it. I did put 2 ticket kiosks out front just because we were getting so busy when I was doing playtesting. I decided to keep both of them. I didn't know how busy it would be. It was actually quite busy. Apparently, everyone in the Sims world wants to come to knitting and pottery and cross-stitching classes and learn how to do all of those granny activities, which I'm not complaining about. I think that that's a great idea. Sounds perfect to me. But you'll see I'm decorating a little bit with some bushes and shrubs and the bird bath and the bird feeder I just shoved over there, as well as some topiaries of bunnies and mushrooms. Just really wanted to make this look really cutesy. Also threw in some big chunks of dirt that came with the Cottage Living debug menu because I wanted it to kind of blend in rather than just be stark up against the edge of the lot and have no dirt underneath it, because you can't use terrain paint off the lot. I thought having the clumps of dirt would really help to kind of hide that a little bit. We also added some wisteria vines from my wedding stories up along the house because I thought that was pretty, and then some more of these bushes and shrubs and tall grasses. And then later on I end up putting some benches over there in the corner. I'm not sure when, but I tried to make that a nice little seating area, whether that be for patrons or for grandma or whomever, guests, etc. And I really liked this tile here, this terrain paint with the tile and the grass poking through. I haven't had a chance to use that yet where it made sense, because the last couple places I tried to use that, a lot was like slightly on an angle and it wasn't straight. It was like crooked and it was driving me crazy. So on this lot, it finally actually worked, and that was very exciting for me. So I was really, really happy about that. Also threw in some dirt terrain paint, of course, to kind of try to blend everything together. And then later on, I end up adding lights just outside the doors. I didn't add any lights in the flower beds because I think that at night they kind of like everything to be dark. During the day, everything's so busy and crazy. They don't need a lot of bright lights and stuff at night when they're trying to relax, when the business is closed and they're winding down for the evening. So we'll get back to more landscaping and stuff later, but right now I am deciding I want to use these debug and live edit stone wall pieces from Cottage Living and make a custom little fence where the platform steps are. So that is what I'm doing here with the tool mod. I'll just show you a little bit on either side so you can see kind of what I did, but it was very long and strenuous because I had to, again, basically get used to using the tool mod again after being without it for so long. Also threw in these pillars because they match. They're also from the debug and live edit menus, and they just complete the look. And they also kind of hide the seams a little bit because there are some pieces of the wall that I had to size down ever so slightly and like feed into the ground a little bit more. So this really helps to kind of hide that. And then I just wanted to line it up visually so it kind of looked like it made sense. I think it came out really, really cute. And then here I am again with more of this terrain paint. I wanted to make this flower garden a little bit bigger and give the bunny topiaries a little bit more space because it didn't seem like they had enough room to shine. And I really enjoyed those because, again, I don't use topiaries very often in my gardens of my Sims builds. They usually just don't fit. So here I thought they were just cutesy enough to work. And then adding some windows in here where the classroom is, we have our little double desk situation from Nifty Knitting. And then the chair at the desk is from Cats and Dogs. And we also have a little basket of blankets and pillows that is from Cottage Living. I just thought that was fun to have in here. Like maybe those are some projects that Grandma completed and she's just kind of displaying them. But there's lots of baskets, knitting baskets all around for everyone to use. There's also this like organizational pegboard with extra yarn and other little crafty things. And also this kind of hutchy looking thing. I'm not sure what that is, but I guess it's supposed to be like a mudroom kind of organizational unit. I do clutter that up with some stuff later on. Also pulled out this artsy little cart, and over there is where I end up putting the activity table for the kids. We have the cross stitch basket also, and then we're adding another door and a window. I like this door better over here because I think that the blue is really, really pretty. It just kind of matches. It's all very blue over here. And then we have our 3 rocking chairs, all different kinds, because I wanted there to be a variety for everyone, and some lights, some wreaths up on the window and also on the wall over here. I threw in as many cutesy little arts and craftsy cottage core things that I could think of that they would decorate with, and I just kind of scattered them all throughout. I also added those aprons that came a while ago with a base game update in that pink swatch. Like maybe you can use those while you're doing pottery or while you're doing some other artsy thing so that you don't get your clothes all dirty. I thought that was a nice touch. Also, the rug from Nifty Knitting, which is from the debug menu. It's one of the ones you can craft. So obviously that fits in here perfectly. It has all the same colors. And then the wallpaper in here I used is the regular base game like muted yellow swatch, and also the new very bright and busy floral swatch that we got with Businesses and Hobbies, because I mean, when else am I going to use that? And we also have some rocking chairs from Growing Together. They're a little bit more cushiony, a little bit more comfy. I thought they looked nice in here. And also this quilt on the wall that's hanging from Life and Death, believe it or not. There's also a little blanket rack on the floor that came with the base game update, like the cozy update that we got right around Christmas time. And I thought that was nice to have too, because again, just accentuates the craftiness of the room basically. And I also threw in a bunch of little crafts up on the wall, all these cross stitches. Maybe some students did those and they wanted to be able to display them. We have some like knitted flowers in vases. We have that brand new lamp from Businesses and Hobbies, and then I used the curtains from High School Years here in this like blue and leafy swatch. I thought that was just really fun and really flowy and pretty. Also the activity table right there in the corner, like I said, I had to kind of make it fit, but it looks like it has like some ribbon hanging off the side of it for you to use with your crafts, so I thought it looked really nice up there. We also have some more little crafty things on the desk over here, and a pencil cup and the desk organizer, which is going to go over here. Those are from the Comfy Gamer kit, and I really enjoyed those, so I wanted to throw those in as well. And some more aprons, because I thought maybe having some blue instead of just all pink robes would be nice to have for all of the patrons. So used Toolmod to get them in the exact right spot. Also another hanging plant over here in the corner. Had to play around with the positioning of that a little bit, but it came out really nice. And then some other decorations from Seasons up on the wall, some of these little white lamps as well from Businesses and Hobbies. And then we're going to work on the interior of the actual home itself. So we have a little entryway with a table from Greenhouse Haven, and then I used the little shelf with the watering can and the bag from Cottage Living. Also the Seasons mirror that I love, and I always have to move it down with Toolmod because it's just way too high up. But we also have like some little notes and coins in a cup and a little crafty basket, which you'll see just multiplied because I was trying to alt place everything the way I wanted it to, and I had to cover up all the slots, but eventually we got there. And there's also a cute little bunny holding a flower, because why not? And a coat rack. And then I used the stereotypical cottage living hanging light because it's just so pretty and perfect. And also a cute little picture from Basement Treasures of the couple kissing. Maybe that's grandma and grandpa when they were young. And then a lovely rug from Cats and Dogs right here in the entryway. Over in the living room, we are using a beautiful wallpaper from Cottage Living with acorns and leaves and mushrooms, all that stuff. I also threw in a radiator in here because I thought it was nice to have, because, you know, in this old house, I would think they'd have radiators everywhere. So I did put them in a few rooms later on. You won't see it because I did it off camera, but I did add them just because I thought that having them in every room would kind of make sense rather than just having one in the whole house right next to where the fireplace is. And then we have a lovely rug from Cottage Living. We have lovely wall decorations and plants. It's very cute. And here is the very tiny bathroom. So this is what ends up being like the quote-unquote public bathroom for everybody to use. But originally it was just intended to be their downstairs bathroom. So I used the Country Kitchen Kit bathroom sink because I really enjoy that, and it matches really nicely with this wallpaper from the Home Chef Hustle pack. And then the tiny living shelf above the toilet, as well as the toothpaste and soap pump on the sink. But we'll get back to that later. We'll finish decorating that later on. We are going to jump into the kitchen though. We are pulling out all kinds of stuff that I wanted to use. I knew I wanted some pots and some lemons, a cookie in a cookie jar, this new phone we got, and the utensils in the stand-up cup. I was just trying really hard to like get all of the essentials in here straight away because I wanted to get them placed exactly where I wanted them, exactly where they would fit. And then I also wanted to all place a bunch of them up on these shelves and kind of make them look a little bit different because they look very, very, very samey at the moment. They're pretty much all the same on this side, and it was bugging me. So I did use the basket from Dream Home Decorator, and I rose it up, and then I used Tool Mod to size it properly and just move it around so that it's hiding those other baskets that were up there by default that just came with the cabinet. Also put in some cookbooks, and then on the other one I have the cookie jar, so I will end up fixing the height of that later on. But we have our sink area over here as well, and we're using the dish rack from, I believe that one came with For Rent, and also another soap pump because obviously next to the sink makes sense. And we have some artwork on the wall, some little plants, have a little hand towel next to the sink as well because I thought that was important, and a bread box that was all decorated by the grandkids. I think I put that on top of the fridge, and then we are gonna jump over here and add a little bit more decoration on top of the stove. I use this little flower like trowel thing. I don't know what this is. It's really cute though, so threw that in there. There's also a smoke detector and a thermostat, and I also throw in some more radiators, and then I believe I also throw in the burglar alarm on all of the doors except the greenhouse. So here I'm throwing in some flowers from Debug and Live Edit, and also some veggies and fruits end up going all in the other plots too. But we have some hanging drying flowers. We have a little wreath. Here's some more plants going into the garden, and then I had my sim plant all of these later on so that they would grow a little bit. And I also had a little bit of a gardening bug while I was doing this because my sim would say she couldn't get to the flowers, but then when I went to click on them again, it showed that they had been watered, but they didn't look like they had been watered. It was very strange. I could never figure out if she had actually watered them or not, or if the game thought that she did, but she didn't, and I didn't want anything to die or look like it was dying when I took screenshots, so luckily they were able to fix that, I guess, with the patch, because my sim can do those things now. I'm not sure if it was just strictly a me thing, but I think we figured it out. But that's pretty much it for the backyard. Then we're going to work in the living room. I wanted to place some books on the mantle and also a little flower. And of course the positioning gave me so much difficulty, so I had to do my multiple things all over the place, and then alt placement. In the bathroom we have a towel rack, we have a little rug in front of the shower, and then this lovely horse ranch painting with the white frame, because I just thought that looked really cute in here, and I thought it was something that would definitely be in a grandma's bathroom. Some pretty picture of some horses. Why not? And then we're going to throw in some more plants and some more of those little kind of lightning bug jar lanterns. I don't know what you want to call those. And then upstairs, we're just going to throw in the same flooring all over the place. There are going to be 2 additional bathrooms upstairs, which is good because the downstairs bathroom gets hogged a lot by the customers, at least in my gameplay. So hopefully we will get around to fixing that a little bit later on, but we have the bedroom with the bed from Cats and Dogs, obviously the office that has the nifty knitting desk, and then there's the bathroom for Grandma, and then over here is the bathroom for the granddaughter. We are using the one from Love Struck, and also paired with the wallpaper from Snowy Escape with like the snowy mountains. I thought that was really pretty. So she has kind of like her own little built-in stand-up shower, and I did play test it, and it does work very nicely. Everything works in this home. Everyone's able to get to everything, so I was very pleased with that. Here in her bedroom, we're throwing in this rug from, I believe, Dream Home Decorator, and then both of the beds are from Eco Lifestyle, just in different swatches. Also making sure we add more windows, and you'll see that it is also currently winter because there's snowflakes all over the screen, and that is because this is when I brought Grandma and her granddaughter here to do some playtesting while I was finishing up the rest of the build, because I wanted to make sure they were here just in case I had to change anything last minute. But we're throwing in the comfy gamer desk with the high school years computer, and then also a bunch of clutter from the comfy gamer and the everyday clutter and all the other kits, because I can't be helped. But we have the curtains from Dream Home Decorator as well, because in that like blue and orangey swatch, I thought that it matched with everything else in the room. And also some artwork maybe from when the kids were younger, and then some other artwork that's like, hey, enjoy a good book, because Grandma wants to encourage all the kids to get off their phones and their tablets and to pick up a book instead. I think that is very important to her. So there's some stacks of books over here next to the bed. There's the knitting basket also, and then a little plushie on the ground, also a little llama plushie over here. There's all kinds of nods to like childhood in this room. It's not very super duper teen coded. It's kind of kid coded with a little bit of teen thrown in here and there. So I think that it made a lot of sense. There's also an alarm clock on the window table, so if you needed it, it is in there. And then here's the playroom. We have the goth dollhouse, because I thought that was really fun, and the toy box from Growing Together, and then I throw on some more arts and crafts all over the wall. And I do end up getting rid of that bear on the box horse, but it is so cute. And also this wall decal and some baby shoes and a frame, and also a rug, the circular rug from Cats and Dogs, and I just sized it up a little bit with the tool mod because I thought it needed to be slightly bigger. We also have some like drawings from school or whatever that the kids brought home, and those are from Debug and Live Edit, so I just kind of all placed them a little bit. And then we have some towels outside the bathroom door, which I think would make a lot of sense. When you're walking into the bathroom, you can grab a towel before you get in the shower. We are adding some of these lovely old-fashioned curtains onto just this one window in here. And then here in the bathroom, we are going to be using the new counters, came with the update not too long ago, and that's going to be our sink. The mirror is from Parenthood. I do end up moving the entire orientation of this bathroom later on, by the way, so don't get too used to it looking like this, but I had to move it all around because I'm silly. But we have all of the bathroom clutter stuff going in. We have like a hair and makeup organizer. We have this little shelf over here covered in toiletries and the hair dryer and toilet paper and towels. It's just so many things happening on that shelf. So we also have our plunger and our toilet paper roll on the wall, and a little fuzzy rug here from Snowy Escape just in front of the sinks, and also enough to step on when you're getting out of the shower. There's our teen in there now taking a shower because I was playtesting everything, making sure she got in on the right side. And then we have here in the hallway just something to fill it up. Basically, we have a chess table, we have some plants, we have some really pretty pictures from Seasons and also from Base Game and Cottage Living, and I really like those firefly lantern jar light things, so I kind of pepper them around the place too, just sprinkled here and there. But we have a little Cottage Living window here up on the wall, and I do move the windows around, and that is why I had to rearrange this entire bathroom, so I'm only going to show you a little bit of it. This is me putting that shelf back together over here. We moved the toilet to where the sink was originally, and then we moved the sink over here to the corner because I wanted to move the big window back to where the mirror had been previously. So I had to move everything around again. I changed my mind and then I changed it again because I am who I am. But here we are in Grandma's room. It's very simple. I did use the new vanity table from the Bella Goth kit, as I affectionately call it. And then with the chair from Cottage Living, threw in some plants in the corner over here. I think Grandma really likes her plants, so they bring her comfort. There's also the jewelry box from Crystal Creations that's on her vanity table because maybe that's where she gets ready for the day. And then we have a lovely easy chair over here in the corner. After I figure out the orientation, we're going to add the bookshelf from Cats and Dogs and also a little lamp from Cats and Dogs in the corner. That's like her little reading spot. And of course, another overhead lamp. And then I think just a couple little paintings and also this rug that may or may not have come with base game. It either come with base game or seasons, and I'm not 100% sure, but it's really, really fun. And it just kind of darkened the room a little bit. But I think that's fine because it was a tiny bit too bright for me. Also, these curtains from Cats and Dogs are really, really pretty with like the blue plaid. I just thought it was just over the top enough to make this room work as a grandmother's bedroom. And then we have another painting going up here on the wall, my daffodils, of course, and another plant in the corner here, another fiddly fig in the corner. Here is our office. We are using this teal and kind of orangey wood tone for the console table and also the desk. The desk chair is from high school years because I like the teal color. I thought that matched really nicely. And then we're breaking out more comfy gamer kit stuff in here. So we have the candle, we have the hanging cow plant, we have the open book, and then the curtains are from Growing Together. On the wall we have the cozy kitsch artwork that came with that kit, and then also I threw in some of these paintings from Dream Home Decorator. The leafy paintings that I love so much. I really think they fill up the space quite nicely. But over here on the desk, we have a simple computer, and then I throw in a little book on knitting, I guess, and then the desk lamp is from Dream Home Decorator, and then there's a little organizational shelf thing, and I think it's supposed to be for kids, but I think that it makes a lot of sense if you're running a business. And then over here in the bathroom, we are just moving around the sink and the toilet. I use this new mirror from the, I guess that's not new. I think it's from Lovestruck. I guess it's not terribly new, but it's still pretty new to me. And then we have our bathroom clutter stuff going in. Toilet paper roll, plunger, the candle on the back of the toilet. We have soap, we have toothpaste, cup, and I think that's pretty much it for over here. I may add one or two more things. I'm not 100%. I know we have the towel rack. That is essential. And then over here we have another mat in front of the shower to get in and out, and also one in front of the sink and one in front of the toilet, and then another overhead light from Cottage Living because I have to. Also, this lovely new hanging plant that we got with Businesses and Hobbies. I just sized that down one click so that it would fit nicely in there. And then we are into the other bathroom, which we were just in, but I'm adding some more paintings from Dream Home Decorator in here. Also a little candle on the back of the toilet and a couple last minute things back here. So we have some vines going in from Debug and Live Edit. Also adding some mushrooms and just trying to get this backyard looking like it's a little bit more lived in, because at the moment it was just kind of sad and didn't look like it had anything going on. There was no terrain paint or anything, so had to add that in here. We also have the pebble terrain paint and the dirt combined so that there's a little bit of dimension when your Sims are walking around out here. I also added some large bushes over here just to kind of hide a little bit of the walls a little bit and just kind of make everything blend in. And I apologize that everything is dead. This was like right at the beginning of spring in my game, so nothing that is flowering really looks like it's alive or has flowers on it, but I promise in the screenshots it will, so don't worry, stay tuned for that. But here we are, a little bit of live mode footage of our grandma doing a class. You can see the kids are like kneeling on the ground doing their knitting. There's one kid doing a cross stitch. Everybody else just kind of hanging out. We have some individuals over at the pottery table, and then we have our little skulking around teenage boy. I don't know what he's doing, but everybody was having a great time, and Grandma got to mentor some kids learning how to knit for the first time. I just thought this little spot here was super adorable, so I had to share it with you. And then over here, we are going to have our teen outside. She's doing some gardening. I just wanted you to see the sprinklers I put in at the last minute, because just in case that bug still existed, I wanted us to be able to water all of our plants, and that's pretty much why the sprinklers are back here. But luckily it was fixed and everyone was able to harvest everything and water everything no problem. So it was a very welcome surprise for me. But this is it for our build. This is the Crafting Cottage in Henford on Bagley, and it's super cute. I hope you really enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments down below if there's anything else you would like to see, whether it be a small business residential lot or a regular residential lot or a community lot, anything and everything. I'm open to all of the suggestions. Also, please be sure to like and subscribe if you have not already. It really helps me out, and I really enjoy hearing from you guys. So please give it a like and leave a comment if you are so inclined. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.